one thing never gets old: a good old-fashioned sword fight. There's just something so cool about two badass characters taking out their blades and duking it out. 1 second it's a stare down, next it's slicey dicey, real fighty. So today we're talking about some of the most epic sword fights in anime. Starting off this list with one of the slickest sword fights in anime, Blackstar vs Mifune. We have Blackstar on one side, who's always loud and considers himself the shit. On the other side, we have Mifune, who is the opposite. The sword fight in this scene is just intense and clean. One of the most enchanting attacks of Mifune is his infinite one-sword style. Now, it's the kind of attack where he throws a bunch of swords and flows between them. Doesn't that sound so cool? I mean, I love this fight because it gives Blackstar a chance to grow. The Asterisk War is an anime where students fight against each other to settle scores. And I'm not talking about normal fights with fists here, you know. Their fights involve swords and superpowers. One of the best fights in this anime is between Ayato and Kirin. Kirin Todo might look weak and small, but she's a sword prodigy who just dominates every battle. On the other hand, Ayato Amagiri is the OP student who doesn't want to show off his powers unnecessarily. I love how short and sweet this fight is. I absolutely live for these clean sword fights that don't look like fireworks and explosions. Just two warriors duking it out with swords. Let's move on to Saya versus Tadayoshi from Blood Sea. Now, this isn't your usual fight. It's dark and full of emotions. Now, I know many people believe that Blood Sea has nothing but gore, but trust me, it has many good fights that you're missing out on. What makes this specific fight good is how personal it is. At first, you think Tadayoshi is just the cool teacher guiding Saya, but when it's revealed that he's been hiding some really messed up secrets, that's when things get really heated. The swordplay itself is bloody and brutal, with Saya using all the rage and confusion inside her to fight back. The ending slashes that this girl delivered were just so satisfying. The fight was literally more than what we bargained for. It was absolutely beautiful. If you're looking for a fight that's raw, gritty, and loaded with tension, Gangster delivers big time with the battle between Nicholas and Doug. These two are just vibing on a whole different level. Both of them are on different sides of the same messed up world, so when they clash, it's more about survival than anything personal. The sword fight? Oh man, it's a thing of beauty. Nicholas with his blind swordsman vibe and Doug, who's got that cold, calculating edge, watching them go at it like watching two predators trying to outsmart each other. Nicholas moves with this crazy fluidity and precision. It's wild how he can see Doug's moves and counterattack in ways you wouldn't expect. This is one of the most underrated sword plays in anime that definitely needs more recognition. Rabo just wants to make Yato suffer, but Yato, he ain't having none of that. Their fight looks more like a well-choreographed dance than an actual fight. You can't help but cheer for Yato because he's just pushed to his limits. While it's incredibly intense and thrilling, it's also heartbreaking in a way that leaves you wondering just how much more this poor god can take. Moving on to that iconic sword fight between Gamina and Viral from Gurren Lagann. Now this fight will capture the true essence of unfiltered testosterone, and the epicness is just on another level. Gamina and Viral are two different people who have different motives. This is the sickest exaggeration I've ever seen in anime. Gamina's sword is long, right? It's a daikatana or something, like an odachi, but it just keeps coming and coming so that he can keep rambling on about how badass he is. This is pure cinema with the animation aging like fine wine. The moment, the delivery, the animators outdid themselves. This is peak coolness. Let's talk about one of the most underrated anime sword fights out there, Leon vs Alfonso in Garo, the animation. Now, if you're into flashy armored knights, dramatic family beefing, and swords that literally spark with emotion, this duel is gonna hit just right. Leon is the hot-headed heir to the title of Golden Knight Garo, and Alfonso is his noble cousin, who's kind, collected, and basically Knight Prince material. The best thing about this entire sword fight is its crisp choreography. It's one of the most finely animated sword fights ever. Determination and honor in their swords, this battle has it all. I hate how this anime is slept on, you know. More people need to talk about this one. Moving on, we have an epic sword fight between Ishida Mitsunari and Date Masamune from Sengoku Basara. Date Masamune is basically a samurai biker gang leader with 6 swords and way too much swagger for just one man. He literally speaks in English catchphrases like he just walked out of a rock concert. On the other side, we have Ishida Mitsunari, the walking and talking rage machine. Their fight's pure eye candy. I mean, their fight creates nuclear explosions. What makes this fight so fun is how wildly different their energies are. Also, the animation is too good to be true. I absolutely love this sword fight, and you need to check it out as well. Tokiyuki vs Shokan is one of the recent sword fights that nobody should miss. It's a fight between a kid who loves skipping around and a man who is absolutely brutal while fighting. Now, Tokiyuki isn't your typical shonen fighter. His superpower? Running away really, really well. Sounds goofy, I know, but the way he uses it in a fight is pure ninja brilliance. The actual fight plays out like a high-speed puzzle. Tokiyuki dodged Shokan's attack so good, he converted a murderous nihilistic mercenary leader into a Buddhist. Also, the art style, the gore, and the portraits in this anime are so insane that they can legit open an art gallery with every scene and frame. After watching this fight scene, I concluded that the elusive in the title of this anime is an understatement. Now, this fight is one of the most hyped fights in Black Clover. It's one of those fights that reminds us why Yami is the best captain and why Asta should never be underestimated. Apart from being visually stunning, this fight will keep you on the edge of your seat. You see, Dante is an absolute disaster and he's here to stir up some trouble for our heroes. So Yami and Asta decide to take down this menace together. The way Yami goes against Dante is just so satisfying. We get to see his absolutely terrifying abilities in this fight. And let's talk about Asta for a moment, who has equally terrifying abilities too. I mean, just look at his sword. Their team up is the best one out of all of the team ups in the anime. This fight's got clean animation, wild powers, incredible swordplay, and a finish that makes your heart pound. If you love sword fights that hit like boss battles, Yami and Asta vs Dante is top tier. Okay, let's talk about Sieg versus Gotomine in Fate Apocrypha, because this sword fight, it's way more epic than anyone expected and somehow ends up being one of the most intense, punch-the-air kind of showdowns in the whole series. So here we are, near the end of all the madness, and Sieg, the quiet homunculus boy turned hero, is going up against Gotomine Shiro, who's basically a walking sermon with muscles, magic, and a god complex. On paper, this does look like a mismatch. Gotomine is fast, brutal, and powered by divine energy, while Sieg's just trying to keep it together after transforming into Siegfried like, what, 20 times now? But here's where it gets awesome. Sieg doesn't back down. He draws that big old sword of his and the fight kicks off with clashes that shake the whole battlefield. What sells it is the choreography and the animation. Apocrypha might have some rough patches, you know, but this was a really good final fight. Sieg using Blasted Tree is easily my favorite scene in the whole show. Talking about one of the most dramatic sword fights in early anime internet history, Kirito versus Heathcliff in Sword Art Online. Man, that fight was like watching a boss battle where the final boss suddenly reveals he's also the game dev and the cheat code. It's like Kirito brought dual swords and determination, and Heathcliff brought God mode. The sword fight, straight fire. It's fast, it's flashy, the way Kirito fights is just insane, and Heathcliff, this dude is just one step ahead of everyone. You can't argue with that. But Kirito just bends the rule and reminds everyone that no one can surpass his powers, not even a guy who thinks he can outsmart everyone. Are you enjoying this video? Then you definitely need to give it a like, and if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. You can also take a look at my second channel, ViniiTube Kai, where I upload different video essays. You can find the link in the description. Cool, let's get back to it. Nanashi vs Luolang is a proper sword fight that's just a masterpiece from start to finish. Forget about flashy swords, this one is the shit. I mean, yeah, it's not flashy, but it's also not slow. You'll find perfect choreography, clean animation, and pure badassery in this fight scene. One of the best things about this fight is the fact that this fight has no monologue or flashbacks. It's just pure sword fighting from start to finish. They don't let anything distract them from their fight. It's just incredible that these two aren't caught off guard. I have a hard time believing that people actually drew this fight scene frame by frame with their hands. Let's move on to the epic battle between 9S and A2 from Nier Automata the anime. This fight is not for the weak-hearted, okay? It's just so emotional. Now, both 9S and A2 are broken, they're hurt, and they've been through hell. And when these two decide to fight, it's an emotional roller coaster. And the actual fight, it's beautiful. The animation is clean and pure eye candy. There's this moment where 9S channels 2B's charged attack, and you know it's hitting right in the feels, right? I mean, he's literally using 2B's attack with the arm he ripped off the B models. Pure emotional chaos. Plus, the soundtrack is just on point. They drop Emil Destruction like it's a punch to the gut. It's crazy how the music just digs into your soul. Afro vs Gino might just be one of the most emotionally loaded anime fights ever, and the fans felt it. Like, seriously, everyone agrees. Gino's voice actor absolutely snapped. Dude sounded like he was one breath away from a full-on breakdown the entire time, and it made every single line hit that little bit harder. Then there's the sheer drama of it all. Afro clearly didn't want to fight him. You could tell by the way he hesitated. Like, bro's taken out people with less thought than opening a door, but with Gino, nah. That sword stayed sheathed way longer than usual. And Gino, whew, that man was done. Also, let's not ignore the hilarious contradiction here. Gino roasting Afro's hair while wearing a teddy bear helmet? It's peak anime logic, isn't it? But beneath all the memes and badass sword swings, that heartache, man, it's real. Afro became exactly what he hated, and Gino, he was the only one who could force Afro to face that. Let's talk about one of the most insane glow-ups in anime history that required multiple deaths to unlock. Genpachi finally learning his Zanpakuto's name, but not before getting absolutely destroyed by the OG menace herself, Unohana. This was therapy by murder. Unohana, the first Genpachi, knew that Zaraki had been subconsciously holding himself back. He was so afraid of losing that feeling of being alone again that he nerfed himself on purpose. So, what does she do? She stabs, heals, repeats over and over again. Not because she hates him, but because she's the only one strong enough to force him to face the monster inside. His sword finally decides to speak when Unohana dies. Apart from being visually stunning, this fight was extremely emotional, and we already knew how it would end. Genshin versus Shishio is that one unforgettable sword fight that's just insane for all the good reasons. Both Genshin and Shishio have different fighting styles. Now, Shishio's not an ordinary villain, he's brutal in his ways and nobody walks away unharmed when they fight him. But hey, never underestimate Genshin, but that one finishing move felt so satisfying. The animation of this scene is so clean despite being so old. This is the kind of fight that all fans will remember till the end. It's that good, you know. If you haven't checked it out, you're missing out big time. This fight between the two long-lost brothers just makes you teary-eyed. You see, Hyakkimaru has been through hell, and now he came back from hell for revenge, and he didn't come unprepared. He reclaimed his body parts after going through some of the most brutal fights. When Tahomaru and his crew decided to fight Hyakkimaru, he had no option but to fight back. And when we talk about the actual fight, it's absolutely stunning. It's got everything a good sword fight must have. Good choreography, slick animation, and of course, emotions. You still want to watch it again and again and again just to feel good and sad. Gintoki vs Takasugi is considered a masterpiece when it comes to sword fights, and let me just tell you why it's considered that. You see, Gintoki and Takasugi were childhood buddies, but even more than that, they used to consider each other brothers. But after a series of tragic events, both these men had to take separate routes. So when these two clash, it's personal. It's one of those fights that make you wonder if you're even watching a comedy show. Moving on, we have a fight between Bedivere and Gawain from Fate Grand Order. This fight is just spectacular, just like all other fights in the franchise. So Gawain is the Knight of the Sun, one of the most OP characters in the series. I mean, he's invincible and gets his powers from the sun. On the other hand, we have Bedivere, the OG underdog. When these two clash, it's a show of fireworks. The choreography of this sword fight is just out of this world. Watching these two collide is like watching the unstoppable force meet the immovable object. If you've seen this fight, you know it's one of the wildest moments in anime history. Berserker, that absolute unit, is going up against Saber Alter. It's the kind of matchup that has people online still debating if this was the greatest battle in Fate history. Two powerhouse characters were smashing each other in a way that made every second feel like a punch to the gut. Now, Ufotable has been known for its insane animation, and in this fight, they take it to the next level. The fluidity and speed of the action are jaw-dropping. The way the animators convey impacts, force, and speed/movement, I mean, it's just god tier. It's an absolute masterpiece of a sword fight that will go down in history. Moving on, we have Zoro versus King, one of the most hyped fights in One Piece. Okay, so fans call this fight a peak sword fight, and they're not wrong about it at all. After watching this masterpiece of a sword fight, we finally realize why Zoro carries 3 swords. This fight from start to finish was epic. Both Zoro and King were fighting like absolute beasts without holding back. And don't even get me started on the animation of this scene. It's one of the most visually stunning and fast-paced action sequences in the entire series. It was so clean and smooth that you want to keep watching it again and again.
勝者ゾロ
Let's move on to the most iconic sword fight, Mugen and Jin versus Garia from Samurai Champloo. If you love absolutely unhinged sword fights, you're gonna love this one. Now, Samurai Champloo is known for its clean and smooth action sequences, and this fight, it perfectly encapsulates the anime's true essence. The flow of this sword fight is insane, and you don't want to take your eyes off the screen. The animation is absolutely beautiful and fluid. It's hands down one of the top tier sword fights out there. Are you a fan of intense sword fights? Because Daryun and Hilms from the heroic legend of Arslan deliver just that. This is what true epic battles are like. Everything happens in a flash, a great display of strength, speed and skill, and not a fight with a span of 14 episodes, and in the end, you forget how it started in the first place. Everything about this fight feels so good. One of the best things about this fight is the sound. The swords clashing creates such a beautiful sound that feels just so good. This is the fight that just needs two swords to be a fan favorite. It doesn't need any magic or superpowers to be great. Sure, the flowers in the background might make you laugh a little, but who's really paying attention to flowers when you're watching two warriors at their peak? Killer Bee just casually flexes all over Sasuke in that battle, not just outclassing him in skill, but also in sheer swagger. His decision to pause and write a rhyme while in the middle of a fight is one of those moments that makes fans realize just how effortlessly cool and powerful he is, totally stealing the spotlight from Sasuke. It was in this fight that Sasuke realized it's not called Sasuke Shippuden for a reason. It's got everything: amazing choreography, emotional stakes, and jaw-dropping swordplay that's pure perfection. That's a wrap for today. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up before you go. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell icon for the latest updates of all of our videos. Feel free to drop a comment under the video with your favorite fight scene from today's list, or let us know if there are any that you think we should add. We love hearing from you. Until next time.